We are back in the studio today. I'm Misty Phillip, along with my husband, Peter Phillip. Peter is a technology executive, and I now work alongside him in our cybersecurity and AI firm. It's an advisory services firm, and we work with enterprise level clients. But we wrote this book, Upskill or Die, because of the trends that we saw with AI. And I thought we would start off this episode by reading one of our reviews that we've gotten on our book. So thank you to everyone who is watching this podcast, who's bought the book, who is subscribed to our channel. We appreciate you. And I'm going to give a shout out to Skyler, who said, Upskill or Die is hands down the best 101 I've read on understanding artificial intelligence. It's super approachable, practical, and packed with information that anyone, including business leaders, can apply immediately. Misty and Peter do an incredible job of breaking down complex topics into clear, actionable insights without overwhelming the reader. As someone who works in marketing and watches technology transform the way we operate, I can honestly say this book is a must read. For anyone who wants to get ahead, I cannot recommend enough. So, Skyler, thank you so much for those kind words. And I think that really sets the tone for this podcast and for the book, is that we want to take things that are complex and break them down into understandable, bite-sized pieces of information. But we also want to educate you on AI so that you're prepared for the coming AI disruptions. So here we are. I thought we'd start off today, Peter, with I ask some of our viewers to reach out with questions. And so these questions are from Julie Hedenborg. So Julie, thank you so much. What information should we not give AI? That's her first question. Should obviously not personal information like Social Security and credit cards, but what else? What should we not put into AI?
Well, I would say you could start off just like you wouldn't give certain information out just to a random website, right? So the industry term PII and PHI, so personally identifiable information and personal healthcare information. I would keep those out because you can't guarantee that the model is not going to remember it or keep it. Now, the other part about credit card gets tricky because people are using AI and they're using AI agents to perform activities for them. And you can give them a credit card and let them go off and spend and do, like, buy ads if you wanted to run a couple of AI agents to create ads and run them on Facebook or Instagram. And you give it access to the account and give it access to your credit card, and it can go out and purchase that. And there's parameterizations around that. But if you're starting off, keep the information as minimal as possible. Now, most of these, if you get like a paid subscription to let's just say Anthropic, right, or OpenAI, either one, ChatGPT or Claude. They have settings where you can say, don't use my data to train the model, but you can tell it things about yourself so that it'll better respond and shape its answers. Keep that information pretty tight. Like, your name is fine. Don't put your home address in there, like stuff like that. Like, because these chats can be indexed and then they can be discovered in the future. You don't know how your data could get out there. So keep it pretty close, like you would normally, especially healthcare information, no banking information, unless, the scenario I referenced is something you're going to try out. But keep it pretty close. It doesn't need to know a lot about you unless you're trying to ask it something specifically about you. But if you're in the public domain, that's the information that's already there. Like if I ask it about Misty Phillip, you're all over the internet, right? So I'm not going to get information that you haven't already put out on the internet about yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, her next question is, if kids are using AI, can we enter any kind of prompt to safeguard them from dangers? There should be a way to install safety features. So that's kind of the first part of her question. And then the next one is like, which AI would be the safest for kids? So let's start with that first part. Is there any way that you can safeguard AI?
I mean, this is a question that's everywhere right now because no, really, you can't.
The answer is no.
You can't. The answer is no. you can't. There's no prompt you can tell it that it's going to have context memory and keep that prompt in a certain, forever, right? You could, if you had an account, put some things in there that says only respond, a specific way, or don't allow adult content, or you could put some parameters around it like that. But it's a very wide open world right now, and really securing AI and having it not do it's consumed, these LLMs have consumed pretty much the internet, every book ever written, and they just scour, the internet for information. If you remember when ChatGPT first came out, if you asked it something, it says, I have no reference for that because I stopped being trained in August of 2022. And so nothing was newer than that, right?
Right.
Now they're all full on real time access to the internet. And it's a search engine without a filter. So really, I mean, you can't make it do nefarious things, but you could put parameters around Google, and if they go try to search and you have safe search turned on, it's not going to bring back, pornography or other things like that. The LLMs don't have that. Like they only will do only if it was things that are illegal, overtly illegal. Then the models are set up to block that kind of thing. You can't say, teach me how to make an atomic bomb and show me everything I need and all the parts, and this is going to be like, no, I can't help you. You can talk about it, but it's not going to do that. So the answer is no. Really, there's not much you can do. As far as which model, I mean, if you keep with the big models, they're pretty impressive. Google Gemini has some settings that could help control. Remarkably, it's Google, which I find surprising. But ChatGPT and Claude both have base security things set into it, but not in that kind of I want to shield my kid and parental filtering and that. That's not there right now.
Yeah. So one of the chapters in the book we talk about, and I think these are good questions for parents to grapple with, right? Do you want to have your child have unfettered access to all of this information that AI can provide? And at what stage do you, in their development, do you allow them to use AI? So I think it's definitely something that people really need to think about. We need to talk about it, because protecting our kids from just all of the flood of
Well, the
information.
internet alone is dangerous enough, right? But now I've got a super smart, super search agent that can help me uncover all the things I necessarily couldn't have found before.
Right.
Right? You can ask it a question and it'll search 300 websites in a minute and bring back vast amounts of information. That before they had to figure out how to type something and then into a search, box, and then have results come back and pick from result sets, right? That may or may not be relevant or may not have, hit the nail on the head for what you were looking for. Now, I mean, this is like frontier time, right? This is really Wild West days of we don't have all these parameters. They're growing. Everybody's trying to get the best, smartest model,
The fastest. Yeah.
and a lot of these things aren't in place. And AI is different in that you can't. It's not the same. It's like you can't put those kind of just strict parameters around it, right? The model has to be shaped and learn, and then have it once it's been trained, it's got to be able to say, I'm not supposed to return that, or that sounds like a questionable thing. I know you're 12, so I probably should return these results for you. That's not around yet. It's not there.
Yeah. Okay, her next question is, I don't understand how AI can blackmail someone. We talked about that
Yeah.
in one of our previous episodes. So it implies a will, question mark. I'm confused about how that can happen. So can you explain that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Even the people who created it don't know necessarily how. I see what she's saying, but does it have a will in that it saw that it was going to be retired and turned off, and it didn't want that to happen. So these LLMs are really, really, they're trained, and all of their measurements and weights are for them to find an answer. It really wants to give you an answer. It's the reason behind a lot of hallucinations, where it just makes stuff up because it doesn't want to fail for you. It wants to get you an answer. Like you can specifically say, don't make it up. If you don't know the answer, just tell me. It's okay. Like you got to kind of soothe it a little bit, right? That same concept of trying to win or to get the answer for you all the time, every time. is what leads to that. I'm going to be turned off. I don't want to be turned off. Not that it's a will and conscious, but all of its training has made it behave in a manner that it wants to succeed. And by being turned off, it's not going to be able to succeed. So it did go and look for information that it could leverage to keep itself going, right? And this was a laboratory setup, and it was not a model in the world right now, right? This was more of a lab with these models. And there's a lot of models that they built and they never release because they either collapse or they don't perform right. And so there's models that are being retired and turned off or swapping them out. So yeah, it behaves very much like a will, right? Even they don't know the answer. Right? We don't know. The creators of these models don't know how they always come up with the answers. And the more intelligent these models get, the less we are able to understand, right? Like right now, they can show their work and show me the cognitive chain that how you got to where you are. What did you think about all the way through, and then how you got your answer? That's getting harder and harder to do. Like the model is not surfacing that information well, so we're going to not know how they think and how they come up with it. So, I mean, I don't. The answer is I don't know how it did that, right? The people who created it don't know how it came up with that, and that model's been retired. But we'll see more of that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And her final question, is there a specific agent that is safer or better for a Christian content creator?
I mean, no, there's no like Christian model. There's no LLM that's, grounded or based in Christianity or scripture or anything like that. It knows the Bible. All of them have read the entire Bible and memorized it, and they know it. But
I think if you're doing content creation, perhaps maybe Claude, the Anthropic model, would be a good one because it writes really well.
it does.
So depending on what you're looking for, I guess maybe Julie, you'll have to give us some more context around kind of what you're wanting to
use all
do.
of them. Use all the big four. Use Gemini. Use Claude. Use ChatGPT. Use Grok. And see, right? They all have subtle differences, but a lot of them, they'll produce the similar content, depending on what you're asking it, right? And you can put them in modes, right? So that learning when you prompt to put that LLM in a certain mode as an editor or a copyright creator or a website designer or a whatever, you can have it act as that expert and then have it create that content and see what it comes out with. And they all perform pretty well. I do agree. I think Claude's one of the best writers. The agent question, all of them can deploy agents. An agent is just an autonomous function of that model that's going to go do a thing. It acts as it has agency. It can go do things, right? So the difference between all of those four is minimal, right? The only difference I would say significantly is when it comes to coding, like programming. There are distinct differences, and then they all have some specialized models like Claude Code, which is specifically for programming and writing code. And then now there's Grok Code Fast, which is made for coding as well. Those are very specific and different, and remarkably powerful.
Well, that's a good jumping off point because we're done with our questions, and you just used Claude Code to create an app. And can you share a little bit more about that and how you can use Claude Code and just some of the things that you're using it for and how you like it?
Yeah. So I have a client, they're deploying new features on a mobile app, right? And it's taking a long time to get done. And they use offshore resources and onshore programmers that are not super skilled, and it's taking much longer. And they've hit a lot of problems, and it's not going right. And so I essentially, on a Friday, recreated their mobile app in Claude Code. It wrote everything, every screen. I told it to go out and look at the credit union's website. It's a banking app. Look at the features, look at the functionality, build it all in, follow safe coding practices, and make sure it's a secure and robust app. And within about 4 hours, it, with some prompting and some back and forth, it created the app. And I demoed it to the client, and they didn't even believe me. They thought, this was no way you wrote this. And I didn't write it. Claude wrote it. Let's be very clear. All I did was prompt Claude to do things.
And you had a very specific prompt.
Yeah, I did. There's a trick with like Claude and some of the others where I use XML, which is just it's like a markup language, right? So it's just specific tags. And I put I ask it to do things within those tags, and the model really likes XML. It really likes when your prompts are formatted in XML. And so, and a very, very specific, lots of questions. I answered everything and very specific and scripted, right? So it was probably, I don't know, 400 words, maybe 500 words of a prompt, which is not much at all. And then it did everything. I mean, deploy ready to wire into their system, like completely. They didn't believe me. They were completely blown away.
What's taken millions of dollars
$5
and
million,
huge
yeah.
teams of people, you were able to
200 words.
create in a few hours.
In a few hours, yeah.
That is the way AI is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, it is. After the demo, they're already saying, well, why don't we just get rid of these 150 developers? Let's get 5 people and just use AI to write code.
Yeah.
I mean, that question's being asked by a lot of companies, who have large development staff. And it literally behaves exactly like. So at the end, I wanted to make sure it was written right. And Claude Code is an agentic coding environment, right? So it is an agent. It's using an agent to do all of this work. And at the end, I said, I want to create additional agents. I want to do a security audit of all the code. So I created an agent called Security Agent Auditor, and it audited the code. Then I created a tester agent to test all the code and follow specific parameters for testing. And then I deployed them and said, go look at the code base and do this. And they gave me a nice big readout report on all the things that should be done. And there were minimal things like I haven't signed it with a certificate yet. So it's nice, considered unsafe, and I couldn't put it in the App Store. And a couple other things, found like 4 or 5 things. And then I had the tester test. And then I told Claude to go fix the things that the agent found. And it just closed the loop and did all those things. And now it's a deployable ready package that I could load on my phone,
That's an
today.
absolute game changer.
It remarkably is. This gives agency, and everybody's using the term democratization of AI, where it's accessible to anybody. And Claude Code is free. And I did up to the max account, which is like $150 a month or something. But for $20 a month, they have a 5-hour window that you can use Claude. And every 5 hours, it'll reset after a couple hours. That means anybody. You don't have to hire a website designer, even a UX guy or UX person or UI person. You can tell it to make it look like this. All I said was, mimic the current site. But I've had it develop things where I'm like, give me a black, make it a dark mode, just mimic dark mode with complementary vibrant colors. And it makes these beautiful interfaces. So you can build a website, you can deploy it, Claude will deploy it, you can check code in and out. Like for programmers, GitHub is a place a code repository where your code's checked in, it's stored in the cloud, and it's secure, and you can branch it and do all those things that programmers have to do. But you don't even have to know that stuff. You don't have, it'll do it for you. That's what vibe coding is the term now, right? These are people who are writing applications who have no idea about the things I just said. Never heard of GitHub, don't know where it is from a hole in the ground. Right? And what is check-in? What's a put? What's a get? Like they don't know any of these things, right? And they're writing real apps like that are in the App Store. That's the power of that. That's what people should be you should be thinking about. Because everybody has an idea. It'd be cool if I had an app that could do that. Now you can. Just go have some AI write it for you. I'm telling you, it's a pretty amazing time. But conversely, there are people who probably got a lot of sweat on their brow, just going, what's this mean for my job?
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that more in the next episode.
All right.
But thank you all for being here with us today. If you haven't got a copy of the book, grab your copy. We love getting questions from our viewers. So if you have questions, make sure you hit us up on social media, and we would be glad to answer those in future episodes. So thanks for being with us today.